takes a second to get started.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Board of Ed meeting. The date is Tuesday, September 24th, 2024, and I'd appreciate if everyone would turn off their cell phones as our meeting is being recorded. Ellen, would you please do our roll call?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Ms. Callan Carson? Here. Mr. Perry?
Present.
Mrs. DeRoberts? Mrs. DeRoberts? Here. Ms. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Riley?
Here.
Ms. Walters? Present. Mr. Weiner? Vice Chair, Mr. Lapavola?
Here.
Chairperson, Mrs. Granado?
Present.
And Weathersfield High School Student Representative, Ms. Angelica Dale.
Here.
All present.
And Angelica, would you do Pledge of Allegiance for us and get us started?
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I understand we don't have student and staff recognition tonight.
None this evening.
Okay, the next on tonight's agenda is the approval of the minutes for our regular Board of Ed meeting on September 10th, 2024. Are there any corrections?
I have a question.
Marjorie?
Just on the very last page, going into 10, my name, actually just on page 10, my name is missing 2 times. One as we're going into executive session, and one as being present in executive session. That's it.
Anyone else?
Yes, Madam Chairperson, on page 3, it indicates that we have a motion that failed for the special board meeting minutes, and then there was never a motion that failed, we never voted.
I'll look at that. The motion failed, the first time with the minutes.
We never voted on it. I made a point of clarification, we never voted.
Right, so it failed because it wasn't voted
No,
on.
there has to be a
There
vote.
was a motion and a second.
Right, Robert's rule says there has to be a vote for it to fail. The vote was never taken.
Okay, so I'll remove that language.
So can I have a motion for these minutes as changed in the queue?
Second.
Who moved first? I'm sorry. You seconded it, right? Who first? You made the motion? Okay, thank you.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Those minutes are approved.
So noted.
Okay. All right, is there anyone wishing to make a public comment? Come on up to the podium, state your name and address, and may I remind you that you have 5 minutes. And also just a reminder that the board will not respond to comments. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Carolyn Fazina. I live at 19 Fairmont Street. I'm also the director of the Keene Enrichment Programs. I'm actually here to see one of the presentations, but I thought I'd take a second during public comment to remind you and anybody watching that this Thursday at the Community Center at 5:30, we have our Keene Enrichment Program Showcase. Thank you for holding that up for me. We'll have the after-school providers there with demonstrations and hands-on activities. We will have pizza and ice cream, so if you just, even for the fact you just don't want to cook dinner, come with your kids, it's dinner and some fun. We also are going to have some drawings that kids can enter into just for coming. Ice cream with the creamery, and we will have 5 performers from our musicals doing short songs throughout the evening as well. We'd love to have everyone there. It's open to all elementary school families, brothers, sisters, whatever. I just want to take a chance. And of course, I'd love to see you all there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sally Keating, 109 Church Street. I noticed on the agenda today the elementary schools weren't on there at all, so I had come to talk about that because you know how much I like to talk about it. So through the process, the RFP process and all the meetings and everything, talking to a lot of people, and a big concern is the cost. So I just want to speak to that. The cost will be significant, but what I've noticed throughout this process is that we really don't maintain our school buildings at all. I have talked to so many adults who attended Emerson Williams and Hanner, and they say the schools are exactly the same. They look exactly the same when they went there 20 years ago. So we're really not maintaining our assets. Also, the indoor air quality, there is a program that's going to start in the state of Connecticut. I believe in January of 2025, testing will have to be done, and raises a big concern. What happens if we don't pass the indoor air quality? I've heard from a number of teachers that when they turn the heat on in the wintertime in the elementary school buildings, there's dust and debris and all, and so there is a concern about the indoor air quality. The good news is in the renovations or whatever we end up doing with our schools is we have the opportunity to really put forth some energy efficient programs, whether it's geothermal or what have you. But right now, if you look at costs and what we're paying for, well, at Emerson Williams, for example, all winter long, we pay for heat and we pay for air conditioning because the HVAC system is so poor that they have to run the air conditioning, otherwise certain rooms would be over 80 degrees. I always come back to the school survey that was sent out, I believe in April. And I want to read one of the comments here because what was wonderful is a lot of the teachers spoke up and what they have to live with. So here's just one comment. Working in our town's buildings sheds light on the terrible conditions the schools are in. Many residents would probably refuse to work in such working conditions, and at times I worry about my own health. Mold, mice infestations, mildew, and haphazard fixes to decades-old problems are everywhere in my building. Inconsistent heating, cooling, where in some classrooms kids have to wear coats all winter, and some classrooms are so hot that kids can't focus in the warm weather. Even when we file work orders, they're either ignored, dismissed, or take months to complete. So that obviously is from one teacher. So I just want to continue to raise this. Once the master plan moves forward and all, again, I think that maintenance is something we really have to take a good hard look at as a town because we're clearly not maintaining our assets. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, thank you. So, Mr. Chairman, we have some communication to share, some important communication.
We certainly do, Mrs. Granado. Thank you and good evening, everyone. We have a large agenda this evening. We have someone coming before us who is our world traveler. Ms. Sukoko has a number of international field trips forthcoming, both this year as well as in a couple of years out. We can provide our students with ample time with which to save. So these international trips will be coming before you this evening. We also have this evening a first read of the proposed 25-26 and 26-27 calendars. These calendars were developed through the efforts of our calendar committee, which consisted of teachers, union leadership, as well as administrators and secretarial support as well. So these will go for first read this evening. Also this evening we have approval of recommended policy updates. These are the updates that are legally binding through legislation with regard to Title IX. And also, I think to highlight this evening during reports and discussion items, you'll see two presentations this evening for both our extended school year program as well as our class presentation. I see a couple of our student leaders here in the audience tonight. I'm thrilled to have them both here, so I'm looking forward to both of these presentations. A couple of items on the project side, just to let everyone know. The materials for the roof replacement at Highcrest have arrived. We've had 17 straight days without rain. They were looking to start the project this week, so what do we think is going to happen here Wednesday into Thursday? Rain. So the contractor will work accordingly. The intention is that they will be working second shift. For our Keene Foundation programs, I've talked with Christine Moria already about moving them away from the media center area where there would be noise. So materials have been delivered. In addition to that, at Highcrest, we had a Department of Homeland Security audit last spring where they took a look at the facility and they noticed several areas where there were trip hazards. So I'm pleased to report that the town came out and went to the back area where kids dismiss to go to buses, and they have repaved a couple of areas that the audit found to be deficient. So that got done this week. Here at Silas, Deane, the engineering firm and the architect continue to do work on the chiller replacement. I will keep you posted as to when that's going to happen. Right now, we're hopeful, according to physical services, they will be able to begin this project in the spring and have it done prior to the end of the school year. But again, the lead time on how long it takes for that equipment to be created is going to depend on how long it takes. So we'll keep you posted on that as well. A couple of other items, we're already deep into the school year. The sports calendar is already well underway. So hopefully you've had the opportunity to get out and see some of our athletic teams. In addition to that, we're already starting to talk about the fall production and the spring production. So I heard today when I visited Silas Deane, we already had 90 students sign up for the upcoming production here at Silas Deane. So we have a lot of interesting things going on, a lot going on with clubs and activities, so students stay involved. I also want to wrap up this evening just with a brief comment with regard to our recent crisis situation around a social media threat. We were one of many districts, not only in Connecticut, but across the entire country, that have been besieged by these social media threats that seem to be anonymous and innocuous, and they are anything but. Our particular situation involved a list that had originated in Georgia, and although there were no schools that specifically said Emerson Williams, one said Emerson Elementary School. It got shared by one student who thought they were only sharing it with one student, and then before you knew it, it had gone to multiple students. We had an alert grandmother that happened to see what was posted to their child's social media. That grandmother reached out to Principal Takor, who reached out to the Wethersfield Police Department. We found that the threat was not credible. Needless to say, what we did from a central office perspective is we made sure that we had central office staff there to assist Emerson Williams staff and administration in ensuring that the day went as comfortably as it possibly could. We supported parents that decided to bring their kids home on that particular day. And in addition to that, we came forward with multiple communications. And for me, as your superintendent of schools, it is my job to provide accurate communication. I want to communicate as quickly as I can, but I also want to make sure I get out the information as accurately as possible. As what happens on social media, the rumor mill starts to fly. I want to give a huge shout out to Mike Barabal, our Director of Security, our Assistant Superintendent Sally Distoli, our Director of Special Services John Kazar, who were instrumental in being on site at Emerson Williams. I know that Principal Takor sent out a couple of messages during the course of the day to make sure that the Emerson community was aware of what was going on. From a police perspective, the Wethersfield Police Department, they have been our partners since I started as superintendent and prior to that. And as usual, they stepped up and came forward and provided us with the necessary information to ensure that it was a non-credible threat. We did determine after the fact, the police department reached out to a county school system down in Emerson, Georgia. We determined that that information came from Georgia and had resulted in the arrest of several juveniles down in Georgia. Unfortunately, that list got out onto TikTok and it was doctored and it gets shared. So, as I said in my communication, my follow-up communication on Wednesday the 11th, monitoring what your kids are doing on social media is critically important. We have seen multiple school districts across the state have 13-year-olds that are posting on TikTok and posting threats in an effort to get out of school and not have to go to school. It's resulting in districts having to close and it's creating fear and anxiety. I am certainly hopeful that this trend is beginning to wane and we'll be able to get back to doing what we do best, educating our students. I do want to make sure that everybody is aware that we take all threats seriously, and although this one was not credible, anyone that we get, we're going to take very seriously. We're going to engage the Wethersfield Police Department, as well as even at the state level, the Department of Homeland Security, the technology group at the state level that monitors all of these threats. We had a meeting with them on this past Friday with the Commissioner of Education, the Governor, and all of the powers that be at the State Emergency Management Department to ensure that we're sharing information and making sure that this information is accurate and gets out to the public as needed. So, again, a huge shout out to everybody that stepped up. Our teachers were absolutely phenomenal in maintaining as normal a day as possible. All told, on the 11th, we had 63 students that went home. On Thursday the 12th, all of those students were back in school. So, again, I think the response was as effective as it could be, and hopefully we do not have to deal with any of these responses in the future. This is a behavior that needs to end. So, again, to our parents at home, please monitor your students' social media usage, know what they're posting. And again, having the conversation with the parent last week that we have a student on TikTok that's not even of age, we need to do better. So, thank you, and again, that's communications to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Emmett. All right, we'll move on. Tonight we have many action items. Matt, would you please read action item A?
Yep. I move that the Wethersfield Board of Education approve the recommended policy updates. Policy 4700, which is prohibition of sex discrimination, including sex-based harassment having to do with personnel, and policy 5650, which is prohibition of sex discrimination, including sex-based harassment having to do with students.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? This is our second reading. Second. All right. Let's have a vote. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion A passes. Would you read recommended action B, Janice?
I move that the Board of Education approve the international field trip to Spain and Portugal in the spring of 2026.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
So you want to come up and talk about where you're going?
Come on. And then stay there because we have a few of them.
Okay, well, hi again. We were back here and we were in the springtime. We presented with a couple students who actually let you know about some of the trips that are coming up. I have Matt, who's going to come up from the high school as well. He's going to be doing a trip in a summer next year, so he's going to talk about that. I'm looking to have a trip approved for this spring to Puerto Rico. It's a domestic trip, so kids don't need a passport. It's a little less expensive. It's a shorter trip, so kids who may be interested in traveling but don't want to go away from their families for too long, it would open up that door for them. We had a proposal for a trip to Panama in spring of 2026, and that is with Mr. Carr, who's taking him to Costa Rica this year. And we're looking for approval for a trip to Portugal and Spain in spring of 2026 as well. signed by Lana Rodriguez, who came and talked to you in the springtime. She's very excited about that. And then we also have Matt, who's gonna talk about a service trip that he's gonna be offering in the summer of 2026.
Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Matthew Boyer. I'm one of the school counselors at the high school. I've always been envious of the teachers who have the EF tours nationwide and abroad. And one of the things I've always felt like we were lacking was a service trip. And so it would be a great resume builder for our students who are going off to college and for students who are looking to go into the workforce, a great opportunity to build their global citizenship and through a tour that we have that we're looking at in the Dominican Republic. It ties into something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's the sport of baseball. So one of the things that we've looked to tap into are the baseball and the softball teams, but then of course opening it up to all the students at Weathersfield High School. We feel as though it would be a great opportunity for them, and it is something that I feel is a little lacking in the high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for me? We just continue to create these global citizens. Now,
What do you mean by service trip?
Sure. So it is a trip that will go down to the Dominican Republic, and they'll have an opportunity to work within the community to help work with students who are down there, and there's a bunch of different service opportunities that they'll have. I have a pamphlet that I printed out that gives you more details on the trip if you want to.
Thank you.
Just the question, Sue, who's going to be doing the Australia and New Zealand in the summer of 2027?
there's so many, I forgot that one. Yes, me as well. So that, again, students requested, and we will be doing that in 2027. So we're rolling that out in probably February, so it
Okay.
gives them almost 3 years to get ready for that trip, because it is a little more expensive. But,
Sue, is that a first for that?
so no, Mr. Sand had held one about 5 years ago, and that was a full trip as well. So it's a long flight, so getting kids to do that. The Japan one's gonna be good too. Long flight there. Thank you. Any more questions?
Thank you. All right, so we have a motion on our field trip to Spain and Portugal in the spring of 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oh, you can do a second.
Did I second it?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion B passes. So go on to motion C. Would you read that for us, Chuck?
I move that the Weathersfield Board of Education approve the international school field trip request for the Dominican Republic in summer of 2026.
And we just heard that. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Objections? Any abstentions? Motion C passes. And I'll be doing motion D. Move that the Weathersfield Board of Education approve the international school field trip request for Panama in spring of 2026. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and we've had discussion on this. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Objections? Any abstentions? Motion D passes. Motion E, Liz, would you read that for us?
I move that the Weathersfield Board of Education approve the international school field trip request for Australia and New Zealand in the summer of 2027.
Sounds good.
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Objections? Any abstentions? And then that motion passes. And our last motion is motion F. Would you read it, please, Christina?
Sure. I move that the Weathersfield Board of Education approve the domestic school field trip request for Puerto Rico in spring 2025. Do I have a second?
Second. Let's have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? on to our presentation this evening. First, though, we have a reading of the proposed 2025-26, 26-27 calendars. There's a presentation on that, Michael?
There-
We have all the information.
You have all the information before you. The other thing that we did at the behest of the board, we did include as a committee the proposed potential graduation dates. Ironically, I believe both of them fall on Fridays as they are. So unlike this year, and I'll bring that item before you at the next board meeting in October at your behest. The next 2 years, right now, day 180 is on a Friday. This year, day 180 in 2025 will be on a Tuesday. You'll be approving. So one of the things that we have with the teacher's contract contains 4 early release days. So you'll see on the calendars, Union was pleased to keep it as it is. So those early dismissal days include the day before Thanksgiving vacation, the day before the holiday break in December, the day before the long Memorial Day weekend, and the last day of school. And then we've maintained the number of early release days, both for professional development as well as for conferences.
All right, we'll move on. That's the first reading of that. Then we also have our extended school year presentation. Do you have a presentation? Come on up.
We do.
We have a committee to understand that.
Your presentation list? All right, let's get down into the audience.
Great. Well, good evening. Thank you again to the Weathersfield Board of Education members, Superintendent Emmett, Chairperson Ms. Granado. We are pleased to be back again another year to present on our extended school year program for the summer of 2024. I'm Liz Reyes, I'm the Supervisor of Special Education. And I did want to extend a thank you to all of the teachers, all of our paraeducators, all of our talented behavior specialists, related service providers, our office staff, our custodians, and so many other members of our community that made PSY a success this year. I am joined here tonight by Allie Pia, our district-wide behavior analyst, as well as Kayla Evans, our secondary supervisor of special education. And we're excited to share with you not only updates of our student services throughout our extended years program, but also to highlight some of our student leaders that were part of our extended school year program this year. I think their work individually and collectively really shows not only our district priorities, but also our vision of the graduate as we walk through our extended school year services. I've spoken with many of our members of the Board of Education in years past around the definition of extended school year services. Extended school year services are a recommendation of our students' annual EBT meetings. They are part of our students' individualized education program. And they are individually recommended based on certain criteria for each one of our students. Extended school year services is not a rule. It's actually an exception to the rule, and the team sitting at the table has to decide if this provision of service provides free and appropriate programming and education We will be looking throughout the school year how our students are obtaining their goals and objectives, the progress that they're making. We will also be looking as a team and determining if there is regression over time. So if our students are gaining skills, but after short periods of time, if those skills are lost and not adequately recuperated within a period of time. And we will also be looking at the severity or impact of disability and how that may be reflected in a student's progress and their achievement of their goals and objectives. This is a team decision. It's not made individually by any one member of the PBT or planning and placement team. But it's made as a group in a way. This year's student participation, we are excited to, for those that know me, we are very excited to analyze this data and take a deeper look and compare it to last year's students that received services. We recommended, or our teams recommended, 116 students participate in ESY or receive the provision of extended school year services. We had 105 students participate. There are a group of students that may decline their service provision. There is a group of students that may be traveling for the summer, or they may be spending time with family, and therefore they decline the recommendation. But this year we have 90.5% of our students participate in extended school year. This was an increase of over 5% from last summer, and really shows that continued trend of the district's attendance, an increase in attendance from the school year into our summer school session. So I have to share a huge appreciation to all of the families, family members, all those community members that helped families get our students to ESY. We appreciate your support in prioritizing the instruction throughout the summer. It really makes a difference when you start to assess as students come back. So thank you for your commitment. It was actually seen in our numbers. I'm going to invite Allie Rakita to talk a little bit about our program design, as well as the service provisions that are provided individually to each student. And then both Allie and Kayla are going to highlight some of our student leadership.
Good evening. So our program, our design of ESY, so the individuals that come to our extended school year program runs from our pre-K students all the way to 12th grade students. Our LEAP, which is our applied behavior analysis students, and then our STRIDE program that's held at Hamner, as well as students that are looking to gain some more social, emotional, and social skills at Camp Sunrise. So those are where we get our students from and the programs that are available. Our services that we provide, so when students come to ESY, there's a multiple of services that they are, some of them say in their IEP programs that they require. And that includes occupational therapy, physical therapy, paraprofessional supports, behavior specialists, BCBA consultations, speech and language therapy, teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing, special education teachers, and itinerant speech. So those are all related services that are provided to students based on what their individual goals say that they are required during the summer. And then our model is, it's a multi-grade level classroom, so the students are basically set up into their programs or the classrooms based on not only their age, but where they are in the levels that they are for academics. So they're working one-to-one or in a small group, less than 10 kids per classroom, and some even have smaller than that, with at least one teacher and then 1 to 2 paraprofessionals. So it's very small, so they can work on the areas that they have been, there's deficits in, or areas that we don't want them to regress during the summer. The days are 4 days a week for 3 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. They're individualized learning opportunities based on what their individualized educational program states that they need or required to. They're both small group and one-to-one instruction, again based on what the needs are for each individual student. We are progress monitoring throughout the entire summer, or that whole month of July that they are with us. And then we also do structured literacy, which is embedded into the program. So students serve. So this, again, I'm a BCBA, so I'm all about the data and providing the information that is to give you some little graphs and data points. So this shows you our students that are served. So for pre-K, it's about 10 students that I think, pre-K LEAP is 10 students, and then our pre-K students that also require some IEP goals, we're about 10 as well. And then as you look through K through 6, 6, our LEAP program, our STRIVE program, our K through 6, our secondary services, which definitely we had more secondary this year than we've had in previous years. That number has jumped up a little bit. Our Camp Sunrise are the students that go to therapeutic rec or camp after or for the full day. And then our structured literacy and speech itinerant, and then related services. So again, on that other page where I showed you the OT, the PT, all those other, that number is showing everyone overall that requires those related services throughout the summer. Okay. I'm going to start this slide off and then pass it on to Kayla Evans. So in the previous years, we've done some community connections. We've done the DARE program, we've had a reading dog come, we've had the librarian come from next door and provide connecting our students with the library for the summer. And this year we focused more on community connections and leaders within our students. So the goal this year was about how can we look at the growth of our students and also allow them moments to be leaders to other students to show their, kind of just show their ability to be leaders in an area that maybe they have had deficits or struggled before, and to be able to show other students how they have grown. So we've had read-alouds, we've had students come and help out and provide support to other students, and then we also had a week theme or a week-long theme about providing kindness. So what we did is we had each class kind of challenge each classroom to come up with a kindness way that they wanted to provide kindness to other classrooms. So in one area, students made pencils with logos of support or positive attributes, and then they passed them along to other students in another class. We had students create rocks with kindness words and put them in that little area, I forget what it's called, the garden area. And just other ways of being able to promote kindness and kind of being able to provide as a cheering section for all of us while we were at summer. And so this is kind of some of the crafts that our students did provide in order to help to provide positive attributes to themselves and to others throughout creating connections. Now I'm going to pass it on to Ms.
All right, so when students are at the secondary level, typically within 7th, 8th grade, we start working on post-secondary and employment skills. And this year we have the opportunity to really focus on our students working towards those goals and objectives, building skills. And some of the things that we did were, we had a few students that did the staff part every day. They had to go into a classroom and demonstrate their ability to appropriately knock on the door, talk to staff, interact with students. We had students doing the attendance from the very start of the day. They would walk around, collect the attendance from teachers, drop it off in the main office. It really helped our office staff, gave them one less thing to do, and it gave our students the opportunity to be visible in school. We also had students set up a soccer net. Is that correct, Nick? Yes, so Nick did some work with some of the equipment around the building and was setting up a soccer net so that the school was ready to get started day one. He also did some clerical work, some shredding. So we really found some jobs that students could be successful in and that they found pride in too, to work on those post-secondary and employment goals. We also had a number of students go and do read-alouds in the younger classrooms. These are just a number of our students that helped out. And here is a few of the pictures of the kindness rocks that students painted and put out in the garden. So at this time, I would like to have Nick come forward and Austin, two of our leaders during summer school.
And I am a 10th grader.
helping kids as I grow older. Thank you.
So there was one day that I went to get Austin from the class that he was helping out in, and the kid said, "No, I don't want you to leave," because he was having such a good time with him in the class working on his math work. Now I'm going to hand it over to Nick.
Hi, my name is Nick Izanito. I'm a 10th grade student at Wilson High School. This summer I went to ESY to help kids. When I was helping in the classroom, the kids looked up to me. I was able to help them and be a good role model for them. Being a part of the community made me feel good about myself. I want to look for more opportunities to be a part of the community as I grow up. Thank you.
Our student leaders made such a difference in ESY this year, and we're really looking to expand this as we start planning already for ESY for next year. Any questions? Any questions?
Oh, Randy's always next.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Silas, Assistant Superintendent, and I have a curriculum specialist this evening. It's a really tough act to follow. I wish I went first. But I'd like to say, I was thinking, it kind of feels like fall. It's not quite November. I don't want to wish it a couple months away. And I was really feeling thankful today as I think about today's presentation, because our class program this summer was only possible because of the funding by the Keane Foundation. So we're really grateful to the Keane Foundation for funding the class program, and you'll see the opportunities it provided our students this summer. So thank you to Caroline for her leadership, Judy Keane, and the entire Keane Foundation for their support. You'll see the impact it made on our students this summer. So the class program was created as we were coming out of the pandemic. Kind of became, as we had some ARPA funds originally, or some ESSER funds originally, we designed it. It actually started online, 100% online, and then we moved to hybrid, some classes in person and some remote, and then we've continued to grow it. So the program this year is grades 1 through 8. Our transition activities were separate in a different program, but we did have some of those. And as you see from this slide, really our goals are around enrichment, social emotional learning, keeping students engaged socially, emotionally, academically, creatively, culturally, and physically, and they really tie into the goals of the Keane Foundation. Research supports the power of enrichment, the power of after-school programs, summer enrichment, really to spark that creativity, that innovation, and as we know through our conversations about increased screen time and social media, it also provides more opportunities off-screen for students to build relationships, build independence, leadership that we saw at ESY, and to engage with different types of audiences and activities. We know that the summer slide is real. Students will regress in the summer, so keeping them engaged in learning and fun activities prevents that summer slide from happening. And we know that we can really target those academic supports by looking at the whole child and providing a lot of opportunities for growth in a lot of different
turn over to Shannon for the next couple slides.
Thank you, Sally, and I did want to just echo that gratitude for the King Foundation this year. I know Sally gave me the call in early February, and the year before it was December, so I was like, wait, it's back, we're back at it, class is back in session, you know, so that was very exciting for it to come through, and we're able to kind of rally these educators together to provide these opportunities for the students. So this year, as Sally was saying, we met in person. We offered it grades, entering grades 1 through 8, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Thursday for the month of July. Due to feedback last year and kind of how we ran it, we did offer 30 minutes in between sessions, so students could attend multiple courses throughout the day, and they had an opportunity to play outside with other students of all different age levels. We have Foursquare happening. If you ever drove by Emerson Williams in the month of July, you might have seen us out there with sidewalk chalk and just interacting. We also had board games and puzzles, all screen free. You know, what was neat was that night they were having Anxious Generation book club going on, and here we were trying to be as screen free as possible in the class program. So some repeats, all of them deserving a shout out. We had hip hop and jazz dance, creative writing, mindfulness and yoga, beaded jewelry, word wizards, multicultural books and crafts, math games, dive into reading, fun with phonics, STEAM adventures, electric, wind, and sun engineering, which I will point out, in years past we had utilized mad scientists and outside provider for these programs, but this year we're really fortunate to hire in-house for many of these STEAM opportunities, which was really neat. A fan favorite, Swiftie Fan Club, summer science class, and taking charge of mind, nutrition, and health were both led by our future educators who are high school students interested in education, so they led those. Harry Potter Club, Books and Movies Club, Literature and Art, Introduction to Spanish, Legos and Coding, and STEAM Challenge. So here you have it, you know, each picture is worth 1,000 words, so just kind of take that in. This is class in action. Friendship bracelets united, you know, girls, mostly girls, but had never met each other across the district came together here at class, which was really neat. You know, kids playing board games who hadn't met before. My personal favorite is, I don't know if this has a laser. Ooh, it does. This student is actually airborne. He's jumping for joy after his electric car took off. So shout out to Ben Zakor for offering that course. And so yeah, a little snapshot of our outdoor activities and then fun with phonics. Oh, and up top they're actually making their own protein energy balls, which was really fun. I did get to try one, they're delicious. So here we have some of our future educators. Not all are pictured, but you can see smiles on their faces. They did creative scrapbooking here, and there they are making their protein energy balls. So kind of just some data for you to reflect on. We had 380 individual students registered this summer with over about 116 registrations. That means students were able to attend multiple courses. You can also see the spread of the grade levels that registered as well as the schools. I did make a personal plug for more 6th graders at Hanmer because I was there, and so we did get some more registrations, which was really neat. So a great spread throughout the schools of students attending class. So how did we reach out to families? I used Parent Square and email. The class website with links was also sent out to the district. You probably saw my name in Parent Square several times or emails from me. And so just promoting class. In-person conversations were had as families arrived or at dismissal, and feedback survey from parents and guardians was also received. So once again, we hit it into the 90s, which was great for positive feedback overall as far as the goals of class were met. The experience was positive, engaging for students. Many courses offerings were varied. 98% of families would recommend class, which was great, and 94% of families would enroll their children if offered again. These are great statistics, but I still see room for improvement, right? I'd love to improve it even more as to offer some outdoor activities more for the kids, possibly extending the hours if available, just to make it more convenient for families. So some shout outs, these were taken straight from the survey. So
What did you find to be the most valuable aspect of class? So speaking about their child, he not only has a good time with the different art projects, movies, and Lego demos, but he was able to take away some knowledge while learning, right? That goes right back to our goal. Thank you, these great course offerings. Thank you, it's helpful that these courses lined up so we can take a few in 1 week. Class provided a summer resource I would not have had otherwise had access to. This was a wonderful opportunity for my son to get hands-on learning in a group setting. And continued learning in the summer and time spent with peers in a supportive learning environment, specifically having the opportunity to learn things that aren't learned during the school year, for example, Spanish, is absolutely wonderful. Having available at no cost is amazing for increasing access for more families. So some really positive, great feedback we received. So good, I just want to shout out Richard and Keene Foundation. Thank you again for your funding of this. Teachers, para-educators, tutors, future educators, and outside vendors who taught and supported courses. Of course, the custodian and the secretary who helped out, and student and families who participated in class. We'd love to come back another summer or two.
And I'll do the fundraising for Shannon. As a second year as class coordinator, it was great to know that she was there every day and ran a tight ship, and it was great to greet families on Monday to help her out sometimes, but they had a great system going. So again, as Liz mentioned during our ESY presentation, everything we do builds towards the vision of the graduate, helping our students develop skills to be communicators, problem solvers, collaborators. And I think you've heard through this presentation all the different ways that our students continue to develop those skills and in our ESY program towards our vision of the graduate as they walk across that stage in X number of years and developing the skills they'll take from Wethersfield Public Schools. Any questions? Yes.
Just comment. I was reading through it. I just thought what a wonderful experience in so many ways, but also just socially, there are so many people who I think struggle to make social connections during the summer when they don't have school. And then other thing that I really noticed was they're meeting children from other schools and engaging in these programs with them, and I think that's wonderful. So that when they all come together at Silas, Deane, they're most people.
Yeah, I think, and I think we also have families that can't afford summer programming and daycare or childcare. So it offers a great opportunity for engaging enrichment activities, but as you said, to meet students and friends from across the district and in different grades. Many of our classes are 2, 3 combined, or 3, 4, 5 combined. So it is a great friendship way also. Any other questions? Well, again, thank you very much to the Keene Foundation and
Is that it from, I think so.
We're all back. All right, that was excellent. Good work. Thank you. So Board of Ed meetings held, and we have, to start here, Human Resource and Personnel Committee. Christina, would you talk to them?
Thank you, Bobby. For Human Resources, we really wanted to focus on showing our gratitude to the staff, the entire staff of the Wethersfield Public Schools. So we're working on that, and that was really our main agenda. So more to come for that.
And then the CREC Council, and I attended the CREC Council on Wednesday, September 18th, and CREC Council is the Capital Region Education Council, of which Wethersfield is a member, along with 35 other surrounding towns. The council is responsible for the regional magnet schools and projects meeting started with a discussion of all the presentations we'll be having because CREC provides a wide variety of programs and services to meet the needs of children and adults in the greater Hartford area. The council also gets new members after town elections who then need to be familiar with all the facilities and programs of CREC. Dr. Greg Florio is the executive director, and he spoke to the start of the school year with 9,000 CREC students. He also spoke to the contracts that were negotiated and were to be approved at this meeting. They have a new superintendent at CREC, Dr. Sasha Douglas, and she spoke of her focus to visit all the schools, and I found it interesting. She focused on asking the staff, what are you proud of, and what creates a positive environment? She stated that she felt this positive change in the environment, and she felt the feeling of finally emerging from the many negative impacts of the pandemic in all the schools. There was also a discussion of fewer problems with the over 800 CREC buses. The legislative report, which is always most interesting, continues to focus on the cap for tuition. The session for the legislature this period is a long session. Key pro-education members are up for election, and the education chair, Jeff Curry, is leaving. So the council passes the consent agenda, and the deliberated action motions were discussed and passed, and the meeting was adjourned. So we'll move on to Community and Public Relations Committee. Marjorie, could you speak to that?
Sure. We had a meeting last week, last Thursday, and we've been working on a few different things. One is creating a summary of the Board of Education, like the role of the Board of Education, its authority, how it interacts with the superintendent, how it delegates, how we're supposed to work together. What I had seen through some other websites and other school districts that they had a better explanation of kind of how and what the Board of Ed does. So I do feel like there's just too many people that don't know what the Board of Ed does. And so we talked about creating one, and Liz Walters, I'll shout out to her, she took on that role and looked at CAVE and looked at a bunch of different resources, and we kind of worked on a document, and at the next Board of Ed meeting we'll be presenting that document and for the whole board to look at, and so that hopefully will be clear about, and it's just really just a simple kind of explanation of what we do, because there's nothing really explains that clearly on our website currently. So we'll see that more in-depthly next board meeting. And thank you to Liz. And we also talked about the idea, since we've been doing this book club with Anxious Generation, about this idea of like helping parents or giving more resources to parents on how to control or have better understanding of what your kid's looking at, and when it comes to devices, especially cell phones. And so we had a conversation about that, and John Weiner, who isn't here today, but he is has an expertise in cell phones technology and also in parent controls, and we talked about maybe him making or creating some kind of document or summary of a how-to or toolbox for parents, like when they do decide to give their children a phone, the controls you kind of have internally, like that just come with the phone that parents don't even realize are there, that there's apps where you can control what your kids see, and you can monitor what your kids see, and it just gives just something maybe like a one page or something that we can offer parents, because I know as a parent myself, it's very overwhelming to think of all these different tools. There's lots of tools out there, but to like filter through and parse through all those, we thought maybe we can start off as we're talking about the anxious generation and trying to get kids to be less on the screen and be more protected by our community. Maybe we can give resources to parents as well. So that's going to be something where John's going to be working on, and we'll see more about it then. And then we also talked about the issue with the threat to Emerson Williams, or just Emerson Elementary School in a different state, but we thought it might have been a threat to a school here, and just kind of Liz Walters asked about how parents want to know, maybe get more resources on how to talk to their children when these things happen, because it's just, we live with it and kids hear it, and how do you talk to your kids? You don't want to alarm them, but you don't want to ignore it. So when you're at the dinner table, how do you as a parent, how can we as a parent, as a community, help parents talk about it, right, and talking points. And so we we talked about that and how, you know, basically the school is a resource, the school psychologists and social workers are a resource if parents need more information on that or actually really have a problem and are concerned themselves about emotionally about how to deal with it, or their kids are really, really alarmed by this. And then there's another issue we talked about the last meeting, which is just more information about AP classes at the high school and how one of the ways we're graded as a school community, as a district, when they have like grades, state grades every high school, is a large part, whether it's SAT, science test, and then how many kids take AP classes and ACE classes, which are college classes, how many kids take the AP test and how well they do on the test. And there's like, from my perspective as a high school parent, and part of our strategic plan is to get maybe more people or parents to understand the options out there for AP classes and courses. And there's every year I feel like our high school's adding more and more, which is great. But it also, on the other end of that, is you can actually save money at college in the future. And there's lots of ways to get college credit at the high school now that shouldn't be intimidating to students. And so we're talking about ways, and I know that's improved a lot in the last few years. A lot more kids are taking AP classes, but communicating that out to parents as well. So we're working on that too. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, and we have our Finance and Operations Committee. We just met. Matthew?
Thank you, Bobby. So the Finance and Operations Committee met for the first time of the school year just prior to this board meeting. It was nice to get back together and see everyone. We discussed briefly where we ended the last year financially with an $11,000 deficit. In my opinion, that means that our budget is managed pretty well. $11,000 in about $60 million budget is rather minuscule. We discussed our current year budget, which is about $64.9 million, a 4.97 increase over last year. And we discussed where we at currently. I know the beginning of the school year has just started, but as we sit this year, our early projections, we are $40,000 under budget, but that is a way too early projection and many things will change. But as usual, we will keep an eye on these numbers and try to stay as close as possible to budget. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now we have meetings scheduled, and we're busy. Special Board of Ed meeting is this Friday at 2:30. Student Program and Services is October 1st at 6 o'clock. Human Resource and Personnel Committee on October 7th at 6 o'clock. Student Program and Services again in the month on October 15th at 6 o'clock. Correct Council is on 10/16 at 11:30, and Finance and Operations Committee on October 22nd at 6 o'clock. And we'll move on to public comment again. Is there anyone wishing to come up and make a public comment? Please state your name and address, and may I remind you, you have 5 minutes. Okay, thank you. Are there any board comments?
I would just like to reiterate some of the points that Michael made earlier about the school threat that happened in Wethersfield. I would like to thank Michael, Sally, John, and Mike all here tonight for their work during that episode. I was at work during that day, but I was getting texts and some calls from board members, community members, Emerson parents, and I felt like by the time I took lunch, or by the time my workday ended, and I processed what I was hearing and what I was seeing, I was really impressed with how it was handled, and I appreciate all the work that went in and the collaboration with the Wethersfield Police Department. So thank you all for your work that day.
Great. It was a frightening day that was well done. Anyone else for comment?
Yes, I attended the Career Advisory Board meeting September 16th. Basically, they went over a few topics. There will be lunch and learns in October. The breakfast will be on December 12th, and the career fair tentative date is April 10th of 2025. And there's also a Port Vallarta fundraiser on June 8th, 2025. They discussed kind of a new setup for the Career Advisory Board. me know, Liz, if I missed anything.
Thank you. Anyone else for comments, Christine?
So I attended the PAC SDMS meeting, which stands for Parent Advisory Committee. The next meeting is on October 15. I don't want to forget to announce that. But there was great attendance by the parents. I wanted to give a couple of shout outs to Mr. Solano and Mrs. Fortuna for their great setup for the orientation transition session for the middle schoolers. It was really well attended. The Stillman newsletter also featured them, so thank you, Mr. Emmett. SDMS would definitely greatly benefit from an after-school bus for the homework after-school club on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I'm hoping that the Keene Foundation hears this, and I'll be in touch with them to hopefully get some help for them. Other activities coming up are the 7th grade dance, October 25th, and the PAC Executive Board is led by newly elected President Eric Roy, Vice President Jessica Georgeson, the Treasurer Hank Durkee, and Secretary Melissa Albers are doing an amazing job fundraising for the middle school. And sometimes I just feel like middle school doesn't get the props sometimes that the other schools get because it's middle school and kids are tough. But I just wanted to say that they are doing awesome things and we're supporting them. So thank you.
Thank you. Liz?
Hi, just to pivot off of what Jim was saying regarding the Career Advisory Board, we are looking for members to help fill positions in the arts, finance, and other areas. If you're interested, please reach out to one of us or to Mark Danaher, who runs this program for us from Weathersfield High School. In addition to that, I attended the Web PTO meeting. A few big things they have going on. There is going to be a web tag sale on September 28th, and there's information online about that. We wanted to make sure we got that notice out there. Web is also going to be looking at opportunities to help get sitters or kids to help, it's at an older level, to watch their own children when they're coming to the Web PTO meetings so that we can generate more community involvement for the PTO meetings. There's a lot of parents who have expressed interest in going or at least participating online, and the thought of a involvement in person rather than online is more appealing, and so we'll be looking into something like that.
Thank you.
Charles Wright PTO will meet tomorrow night for the first time this year, so there'll be more on that next time.
Marjorie?
I just wanted to remind people that October 2nd is the National Walk to School Day, and all the elementary schools participate in that. And I always say, give anyone who takes a bus, I say, plan ahead and just drop your kid off half a mile now, a few blocks away from school and walk them to school or bike them to school. Even the bus kids can participate, but it's a great way to get kids out there and walking, and hopefully the neighborhood drivers will be careful with their driving that day. The second thing I wanted to mention was the Korea Arts is an organization that's been around for I think a couple of decades, and it's a small group of parents who organize an event that each elementary school will get. And this year I saw that they're going to have Birds of Prey go to each school, and they usually do 2 or 3 events each year. And a lot of times people just think, oh, it's just the PTO that brought this in, or the teachers or something, but it's actually a group of volunteers of parents who usually stick around for a few years, quite a few years, thinking of different things that they can bring to the schools. And they organize either dues, or I think in the recent past, the Keene Foundation has actually given on more money for that as well. Thank you, Keene. But I'm going to shout out to those volunteers who organize these things and just bring a special fun thing to each school. Each of the 5 schools will get an opportunity to see Birds of Prey. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Tell school is moving at a sprint now. Anyone else? I just wanted to finish up. I won't mention too much about the Keene Foundation, but we had Keene for Kids meeting on Thursday, September 19th. And it's just amazing what they continue to do in their creativity and their organizing skills with our after-school program. And they're also doing a hands-on science program, K through 6, which will be started this week. And through a grant, you know, we had the summer session with all those students registered. And they also are funding the Silas, Deane Middle School Encore program and our 5 elementary musical productions. Keenan Richmond Showcase is Thursday, September 26th at the Community Center. I highly recommend you go. There's free food and lots of activities. Last detail about the Keene Foundation, they make their money by doing the Cove Carnival, which is October 18th, 19th, and 20th. And they'll be doing other fundraisers, such as the Luminaire, before the year ends. Another foundation had its first meeting. The Weathersfield Education Foundation had their meeting on September 16th. The mission of this foundation is to support and enrich the goals, mission, vision, and strategic plan of the Weathersfield Public School. This dedicated group will be starting their fundraising activities that provide grants to our teachers for enriching their curriculum. So more to come on this group. And my last comment I wanted to make was, as you're enjoying all these activities in Weathersfield through the fall, please look for our consulting group, TSKP, who will be available at most events for questions and information about our elementary building project. The Board of Ed, Town Council, and Building Committee are looking to have detailed information available for our citizens on all aspects of this transformative project. And now we need to hear about life at the high school from Angelica Data.
So the last time that we had, or the last meeting I was here, which was my first meeting, it was the week of our first home football game. It was against Hartford Public and we won. It was awesome. Last week we had some clubs and organizations meet up again for the first time this school year. So this was like the National Honor Society as well as the Interact Club. And for Spanish National Honor Society, we started a weekly segment to highlight Hispanic Heritage Month. And then as well as this, yesterday on Monday, we started up peer tutoring again. There's like a tutoring center for students who need extra help in various subjects. And then the rehearsals for like the Macbeth play is like underway. They're working really hard for that production. And this Thursday, we have an assembly for the UConn ECE courses, as well as the AP courses, I believe. And the UConn ECE registration also began. And lastly, next week, there's a meeting for students interested, for seniors who are interested in volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, as well as there's a meeting for sophomores who are interested in trying out for the Euro Challenge team. So that's pretty much the gist of everything happening at the high school.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any unfinished business tonight? All right, so at this time, I will make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of interviewing the CAVE Superintendent Search Service. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Anybody abstaining? So that concludes our regular meeting. Thank you all for